Good evening. We're live. Pep Talk UK. Hit that subscribe button, like, share this live stream with your friends. It is breaking news this evening. It's all come out. Here we go. Matchroom Boxing are leaving Sky Sports. That's the way it seems. Signed a massive deal with Dazn. All come out around about an hour ago. Major news in boxing. And we've got a show tonight all about it. I'm going to be joined by some guests later. I think Kenny Ken is going to join us at some point. And just let us know what you think. It's huge news and it could potentially rock the world of boxing, certainly British boxing. We've got comments coming in already. B5BYT, respect Sky charge way too much. That's a very interesting point that we'll talk to our guests about later, actually, because I wonder if the Dazn's price will go up. I think it will, because at the moment it's only $1.99 a month, incredibly cheap. And surely if they get the British boxing charge, oh, here we go. Kenny Ken is joining us live, and we're just talking about the big news, Kenny. What do you think about it, mate?
It's been coming for a while. I think what's happened is that Eddie Hearn mentioned it about a couple of months ago, where he did say that, you know, he was coming to the end of his contract with Sky Sports. So this was on a pipeline. Another significant feature as well is that the person that Eddie Hearn did the deal with, when he first started in 2012, and then they had the 6-year contract in 2015. The head of Sky Sports, Barney Francis, has already he's left. He's not the head of Sky Sports. He's gone to another venture. He's gone into international development or whatever that is, or another department. So he's not. Yep. So Eddie Hearn doesn't. Obviously, it's a newish relationship he has with the new head of Sky Sports. I don't know who it is, but there was a very close, relationship with in terms with Barney Francis, and also in terms of having a partnership with Barney Francis, he's very close to Alan Smith, the head of Sky Sports, Sky Sports Boxing, and he's got Ed Robinson as well. So he's always had high, sort of strong relationships with those guys. Obviously, because of the pay-per-view thing, but obviously, they've offered him 9 figures at here, and they offered him 9 figures at Dazn.
Big money, big money. A lot of comments are coming in about Sky is a massive rip-off. We know, obviously, they charge a lot, and at the minute, Dazn is only $1.99. Surely that's got to bump up. Yeah, so $1.99 at Dazn. If this deal is true, surely it's got to go up the price. Kenny Ken?
Well, you would think so, because it depends where it is, though. Because you've got to remember that, Callum Smith is going with it. It's obviously going to be part of that roster. So is Katie Taylor. Also, Lawrence Okolie as well. And also, I'm hearing the same thing with Joshua Boatsy. So there's very stable of fighters. And Conor Benn is going to be part of that roster as well. But the 2 people who actually put money on the table for, in terms of Sky Sports Boxing, the 2 pay-per-view kings, have Dillian White, who's the second in the roster, but Joshua. They have separate deals, and they're not going to be part of that Dazn. So I'm assuming both of them are going to want to set up their own separate deals with Dazn. So in that respect, that's heartening. But in terms of being significant and blah blah, well, the last show is going to be in July, and then that's where the contract ends, and that's when he's going to be exclusive with Dazn. So we need to find out what the situation is with, and that's a question that Alan Smith needs to come out and talk about.
Yeah, I think they said, as I read, I might have got this wrong, but I think it could be June 15th. The Boatsy is going to be the last show on Sky Sports.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's so June the 5th. Yeah, so they got the one on May.
Yeah, that's pay-per-view.
It's a pay-per-view, and then afterwards, I think there's another one on May the 8th is Dazn anyway. That's Billy Joe Saunders, and then May the 15th, Boatsy is on the bill alongside Terry Harper. That's May the 15th, I think.
Yeah,
and then
June 15th. June 15th.
June 15th. Oh, June 15th. Terry Harper. But so after that, that's going to be a situation where again, it's down to Adam Smith as well. What's going to happen? Because before, the head of Sky Sports, Barney Francis, gave Matchroom the exclusive contract. One of the things that Barney Francis was complaining about before in 2011 is that he wanted boxing to up it, to get its house in order, i.e., get him proper fights. So by that time, 2011, I think that time Carl Frotz was with ITV because he was with Hennessy Promotions.
Yeah.
So, and then they were using all sorts of different promoters, including Frank Warren, Ricky Hatton was working for them as well. And then Barney Francis went, right, I'm just going to give it to one person. So again, how it works for Sky, what are they going to do? Are they going to work with just one promoter? Because at the end of the day, there's only two promoters, and one of them's with BT Sport and left Sky, which enabled Eddie Hearn to have it all for himself. So what happens with, do they go to Queensberry Promotions? Do they go with like I said, they go Al Heyman? Do they do something with ESPN and Top, ESPN with, or Top Rank, all those kind of people? It's Sky. Sky needs to, like I said, up its game and find out what's going on, because Matchroom is a massive venture. Maybe they could do a share contract and why not have an exclusive contract? But what it's telling me is that they must have had discussions. Eddie Hearn must have named his price. He says, right, Dazn offered me this, and that. And Sky Sports are thinking, well, bloody, we've got Premiership football. It's COVID-19 as well, and blah, blah. We don't know how much we're going to get with our budgets. So it could be that sort of thing. It has to be that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. People are also saying on the comments about here we go, Lanks lad, this is great for British boxing. And I agree. If more money is being pumped into it, we're hearing about this 9-figure deal. Surely this only enables Eddie Hearn to put even better shows on. Well,
I think what's happened with Eddie Hearn is that Matchroom have got a lot of fighters under their stable in the United States as well. So it works. Going to Dazn definitely works as well, because it's a US streaming service. So obviously the last fight we watched on Saturday, Andrade is with Eddie Hearn as well. So he's definitely part of the stable, and he's going to be building his stable as well. So it makes a lot of sense. Plus another thing as well, it makes a lot. It helps with British boxing in terms of, I suppose, Sky don't get and maybe Queensberry Promotions don't have that cartel, i.e. BT, BT Sport and Sky Sports. But there's a massive void if Eddie Hearn doesn't share any of these services with Sky, which means if he goes exclusively to Dazn and you can only watch British fighters to Dazn, there's a void for another promoter. But again, the casual boxing fan needs to be attracted to what names you're going to have. You know what I mean? And that's the situation. The best bet for the British boxing fan is that Dillian White and Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua still work with work exclusively with Matchroom, but have a separate TV deal with Sky. Maybe that's the way forward. But again, we're only going to get boxing occasionally. Then what about the rosters? Remember, Sky got all these rosters apparently. Who's going to fill them? Yeah,
that's a good point. If we look at Anthony Joshua, say Anthony Joshua, big fight, not even talking about a Fury fight, just any big AJ fight. If he's still with Sky, what happens then with the undercard? If all the undercard fighters are with DAZN now, what happens with the undercard? These are all things that needs to be ironed out, and I'm sure we'll find out exactly what the deal is.
The good news is that Anthony Joshua's now got like I say, he's managing a few fighters, so Dillian White. Now, what's happened is that whoever the promoter is, they have to work with the management company of that fighter.
Yeah.
So I understand that. I understand that Lawrence Okolie, even though he's promoted by Matchroom, obviously he might have a separate deal. But I'm sure Anthony Joshua? Is it 265 management?
Oh, I always get confused with the numbers.
Is it 265 management?
Yeah, one of these numbers. Yeah, I know. We all know what you're on about.
I know Dillian White. He has managed a few fighters then, so it could work out of that. Or,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, the Sauerland Brothers as well. Maybe they can go to Sky. It depends.
Yeah,
It depends.
Wasserman boxing is a big thing. Obviously, the Wasserman, Sauerland merged. And
So-
here we go. Jay
Here you go.
is in.
Jay.
Jay,
How you doing?
Yeah, mate. You hear the good news?
What good news is that?
Well, Eddie Hearn.
Eddie Hearn.
No,
You was talking
was
about
expected.
it on Monday. You said it was expected. Obviously, big news
we did,
in the world of boxing. And
1 moment, just sorting out the headphones.
no problem. Yeah, big news in the world of boxing. Breaking news. We've done an emergency live stream tonight. Joined by Jay, Alby and Kenny Ken. Make sure you smash that like button. Share with all of your friends. Leave a comment and get involved in this live chat tonight. We'll kick off where we left off. Me and Kenny was talking about where Sky could go, and we're talking about the merge of Sauerland and Wasserman boxing, and what could that potentially be the route they go down. And obviously AJ White, they've still got a separate deal with Sky Sports. Oh, we've lost Jay. I'm sure he'll be back. But Kenny, if you just want to carry on what you were saying there,
you know what I'm trying to say is that you talk about the promoters. Are Sky going to go down that route of working one promoter? Because it seems like the way to go. Because BT Sport have got the only promoter I see in BT Sport is Frank Warren. And Frank Warren seems to be able to, you know, produce, because he's got a big sale of fighters. He's able to produce events and shows for fighters for BT Sport. And you know, I don't know what the situation, because you know, the most powerful person in British boxing is Eddie Hearn, and the second most powerful is Frank Warren. Do they go to Frank Warren and try and you know, wait for his contract to finish with BT and try and get him? Will they go to Sauerland and see if they could do so, or do what they did before and just you know, like I said, work with a lot of promoters? Personally, I don't think Sky found it very productive when they're working for just different promoters. They were more so it's a big thing for Sky, because you look at the whole situation, the whole setup, right? Because of that contract with Matchroom, that means who's going to pay Anna Woolhouse to do a presenting gig? Who's going to pay Johnny Nelson? You know, you've got Matthew Macklin, you've got, you know, Tony Bellew. Is he going to go to Dazn because he does a lot of work with Eddie Hearn? There's a lot of people who rely very much on Matchroom to provide them with work. And then if there's no boxing to cover or regular shows, then there's a lot of people at Sky who are going to have to find something to do. Maybe they can bring back that Thursday, you know, the road show with Eddie Hearn and Ed Robinson and Adam Smith.
Yeah, no. Big shout out, the signature $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. As always, we really do appreciate it at Pep Talk UK. And he says Sky TV packages are horrendous. An average family spend around $100 a month on Sky. Sky Sports is £30 on its own. I bet DAZN wanted the European Super League. And Kenny, we don't want to get Kenny started on the European Super League because we know his thoughts on that, and hopefully that's gone now. But we'll address the first part. Jay, what do you think about this? First of all, was Sky too much? And I was talking about it before we joined. Do you think DAZN will put its prices up from $1.99?
100%, it's going to happen, isn't it? It's just a matter of time. I'll give it about another 2 months, and it'll probably go up. Or July, when it says that Eddie Hearn's going to start his contract on July the 1st. So it probably, I reckon it'd be $19.99 a month. So it's not too bad compared to Sky, but I don't know where Sky's going to go from here. Is boxing going to not be on Sky altogether, or have they got another promotion that they're going to work with? But I knew that Eddie Hearn was going to go. We spoke about it on Monday, like you said. It was just a matter of time till it was announced, I thought.
Yeah, no. Sammy Ali's come up with a good point. We are assuming Eddie leaves Sky. So obviously nothing has been concrete and confirmed yet. We're just going off by Mike Coppinger's article that come out around an hour and a half ago now. And even I'm assuming, I think we're all assuming, right, that if it is a 9-figure deal, then surely it's exclusively with Dazn. It can't be with both, Kenny.
Well, it has to be exclusively with Dazn, because the simple reason is that if you're paying, like, say you're paying for a 7-figure or 8-figure, then you are sharing the coverage. But if you pay that amount of money over a certain thing, you're going to be expecting that Eddie Hearn is putting on shows for Dazn, and it's exclusive. It can't be anything else. You can't pay that amount of money for anything other than exclusive rights. So it's good for Dazn. It's good for British fighters if it makes them more money, because at the end of the day, a lot of British fighters now are making more money because they've gone with MTK. And MTK, basically, in terms of the management, the fighters get greater percentages of any of the TV deals and ticket sales and the actual purse fee bills as well. That's why you find that a lot of fighters, like, I wish Barry Francis well, but Barry effectively lost, people like Frampton and Josh Taylor because, MTK made them better deals, especially in terms of Josh Taylor. And I think that, and I'm sure Dazn are going to carry on working with the fighters exclusively, so it's going to be easy to do the deals.
Yeah. FI5HR1200R says Al Siesta be a good shout to fill up Sky. What do you think on that, Jay? Al Siesta at Sky?
Could be a good shout. I reckon the Sauerland Brothers, they'll probably do it with the Super 6 tournaments and all that they do, don't they? They do the Muhammad Ali Trophy.
Yeah, the World Boxing Super Series.
And they do all that. So I think that going forward, they could be a good idea for a product going forward. I don't know. I think Sky's in a pickle, really, to be honest. I think that I'm quite worried for Sky, but Dazn, they're obviously going to be going on to bigger and better things. Eddie's going to focus more on Dazn, which I think he has done in the last year. I think he's done quite a lot for Dazn globally. And yeah, I'm excited. Good time for boxing.
Yeah, no, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And it's exciting that we're going to be seeing more money pumped into boxing by the sounds of it. Sammy Ali says again, Eddie could find a way to keep Sky and Dazn together. We've kind of discussed that it'll be very hard to do that. I just want to chuck out a question out there. Is that going to be the beginning of the end of pay-per-views as we know it? Because obviously when Eddie went into the American market, he said about this is going to be the death of pay-per-views. Do you think, obviously we know BT will still do pay-per-views, do you think this format of Dazn will work without a pay-per-view?
I reckon that they probably in time will do a certain fee for a month and then do a pay-per-view for like the anti-Joshua and Canelo fights. I still think they'll do that.
Kenny, what do you think about the whole pay-per-view scenario with Dazn?
Well, in fact, in terms of the pay-per-view scenario, I think again, it depends. At the end of the day, companies and billion-dollar companies like Dazn, which I think they're going to be, they test the water in it. You can't have a pay-per-view effect without seeing if you're getting enough subscriptions. If more people subscribe to Dazn, with streams, and they get the figures and the viewerships, then pay-per-views inevitable in all sorts of things, just like it was inevitable for Sky. And it depends on whether because you remember Dazn, I've got now Canelo, it was massive. Anthony Joshua hasn't gone to Dazn yet. He's probably going to be happy with Sky, and you've got to realise in terms of Sky, I'm just throwing out a fighter out of there, but you may not agree with me, but Chris Eubank Jr. is still available, isn't he? And if he gets his act together, he could have his own separate deal with Sky, and then probably take all the money for himself, because both Chris and Chris Senior and Junior, they priced themselves out of their Triple G fight because they wanted to put the pay-per-view prices up per month and put the ticket prices up, and at the 11th hour, and that's why poor old Kell Brook had to step in.
Yeah, well, that would in line with Boxing Life's comment here. I believe Sauerland Bros take Sky because obviously Eubank Jr. has just signed with Sauerland. now known as Wasserman Boxing after the big deal. So, personally, at this moment, I make Sauerland favourite. I know Jay said that when he come on. Do you think it's vital, though, Jay, if the Sauerlands do take this contract, that they need to expand their roster fast, or have they got the roster already?
Well, they probably will. The roster probably naturally will get bigger with a bigger platform for them, because obviously they'll be on Sky. So naturally, fighters will want to come to Sky. Sky's a big brand in boxing. It's been popular over the years. It's had the big fight nights. So on that sense, then Sky should be all right, and the Sauerland Brothers should be all right. If they continue doing the tournament format, which I think's a really good idea in boxing, I think it does change things a little bit.
Yeah.
Sky will buy into that a lot, and I think Sky will probably still bid for the big fights. It just won't be the weekly fights that we get now with Eddie Hearn. It'll just probably be every couple of months they'll probably put a bid in for a big fight, which is still good for boxing, because obviously you want boxing on every channel you can possibly get it on. The more it's on, the better for everybody. So, but the Sauerland Brothers, I think with Chris Eubank Jr., like Kenny said, that's a good shout. It's a name. It's someone to get started. You always need someone to start something. So, no better than Chris Eubank Jr. to bring eyes to the table. So, yeah, I think that's a good shout, Ken.
And it means... Go on, Kenny.
No, sorry, it's cutting. But, like, what's happened is that British fighters as well, a lot of British fighters... Remember, if you look at the roster we've had since COVID, a lot of trainers complained that their fighters haven't been used enough by Eddie Hearn. They haven't got enough rosters. And it's the same thing. I'm sure they had the same complaints with Frank Warren. So this is a good opportunity. If Sky are committed to boxing like they say they are, then there's a lot of fighters who need to earn some money.
Janjuar says, I think Adam Smith will jump across to the zone. Jay, could you potentially see that switch from Adam Smith? Adam Smith has obviously been at Sky for years now. Do you reckon he could swap allegiances and move to the new, maybe modern brand that is DAZN?
No, I don't think so. Like you say, he's been there for a very long time, and he does a lot of the other sports as well. It's not just boxing that he focuses on. So I think he may. I don't know the situation there. It's the first I've actually thought about Adam Smith, to be honest. But Eddie Hearn's obviously the driving force, and I think you keep saying that Frank Smith's going to take over soon, and now Eddie's the chairman of Matchroom.
Yeah,
I wonder
more big news that is.
So I wonder how many other sports that will go to DAZN. So he might obviously take the darts over there, the snooker, and all of it might go over there soon, because he wants to build an empire. He looks up to someone like Dana White, doesn't he? So he's got big ambitions. So and it's better for him. It's probably a weight off his shoulders, to be honest, to actually now say he's with DAZN, because obviously the last couple of years it's always been that question: are you going to be Sky DAZN, Sky DAZN?
Good point.
Now he can just say I'm with DAZN, puts a line in the sand, and he moves forward. So he's looking jazzy in all his new jackets and that. So he's loving life with DAZN. So good luck to him.
Yeah, certainly. Go on, Ken.
Yeah, I think I agree with Jay. I think what's happening is that Eddie Hearn really wants access to the US market and build up a follow of US fights, because what's happening is that he's seen his enemy across North London, Islington, my sides, who's through the link with Tyson Fury. He's managed to get his a little foot into the pond regarding the American fighting scene. So he's probably going to want a bit for itself, because the end of the day, Eddie Hearn's is going to have now access to some bloody really big signature fights, especially in like the middleweights, super middleweights, and especially if he's got someone like Canelo. Eddie Hearn's laughing through his socks. But the thing with Sky, they're very, very resilient. But one thing with Sky is that you've got to keep your eye on them, because when I look at Sky Sports, all I see with Sky Sports is football, football, cricket. IPL.
Pushing it. It's in your face, isn't it? Sky Sports.
So really and truly, Sky Sports have got a good opportunity to see if they're really, really serious about boxing, and see if they can work with one promoter and see if that promoter can grab the stick. Because at the end of the day, one door shuts, there's another door opens. There's no such thing as having a monopoly. But obviously, you guys are probably younger than me. When I was growing up, boxing was a joke in terms of like they used to show a lot of boxing on BBC and ITV. But guess what? they had the fight would be on a Tuesday, and then you watch
Yeah.
the highlights of the fight on Sports Night the next day, or
Yeah.
Midweek Sports Special. And then
undercards.
And then in 1989, and when it was only until you saw the odd fight live with Mickey Duff, you know, with Lloyd Hunnigan. But it's only when Barry Hearn came along, when he came onto ITV Boxing, that we started seeing a lot of our fights live, but still they were in the highlight film. So mainly it was Nigel Benn when Frank Warren had him at ITV, but then Barry Hearn brought in Chris Ruback, and then that's when ITV Boxing became big. When Barry Hearn lost a bit of interest, Frank Warren took over in ITV Boxing. But it was only now we're actually seeing proper boxing, and that's what really worries me. I don't want to go back to a situation where I've only got BT Sport. I have access to live fights, and that's why I really do hope that, you know, a Sauerland, someone as big as Sauerland, does get into bed with Sky. And if Sky say they want to use different promoters, that's fine if they want to fill their rosters. But you know, a lot of fighters nowadays, you know, need promoters that are going to up their game, because at the end of the day, I do see a situation where fighters may worry and think, well, hang on here, how am I going to make money if not enough people in Britain are watching me? I had this great, like TV vehicle with Sky Sports, and then with BT, I'm going to Dazn. Who's going to watch me? How am I going to get paid?
Yeah, guys, this is red hot news at the minute. Keep these comments coming in. Smash that like and subscribe button. Pep Talk UK. Big news. Big emerge. We had to do a live stream because it was that big, and it could change British boxing, certainly for the next half a decade at least, with this introduction of DAZN. Adam Oliver says Sky definitely should get Frank Warren back to replace Eddie Hearn. It makes so much sense. Jay, first of all, we don't know how long is left on the BT Sports contract. I don't know off the top of my head. And if you was Frank Warren, would you, and you was offered Sky Sports and BT, which one would you go to, having been at both of them, but more recently BT?
I think it depends what situation. When Frank Warren's got a good stable at Queensbury and at BT, and he's got pay-per-view there. If he was on just a normal, like Channel 5 or on ITV, then I'd say jump over. But BT's on the same sort of level with Sky, in the sense of it does its own pay-per-view shows. And to be fair, I think BT cover their fighting a lot better than what Sky Sports do. Like Ken says, like they have the UFC and they have the boxing, but there's a lot of promotion behind it. So I feel like BT's a good place for Frank. I reckon it should go to all the small hall promoters, because they could fill it up, give them an opportunity. You got 4 weeks in a month. You could do 4 different promotions each week. It builds up the small halls. You got like Mick Hennessy in that. He's probably struggling on Channel 5. Give him a little crack. You got Sam Jones, who's got a good little stable of fighters. He could probably put some shows on. Let there be like a mix. Don't have no signed promoter. Just let Sky be open and work with all different promoters. And like Ken says, there's a lot of fights out there that could be made. Maybe work with MTK. They've got a big stable as well. There's loads of opportunities, but I say help all the promoters that ain't got big shows and get all the fighters out there, because there's loads of talent out there that needs to be seen.
Yeah, the signature says Richard Poxton. There's so much scope out there now, and I really do think there'll be a lot of change. Probably the biggest amount of change since 2012, when Sky Sports went exclusively with Matchroom. And
that was down, isn't it? But that was mostly down to Barney Francis.
Yeah, and you made this point earlier. Brilliant.
And I still think that if Barney Francis was there, I still think that maybe he would have pushed for Eddie Hearn to stay at Sky because of that relationship. And I think, you know, maybe I don't think Barney Francis had a clue about boxing, but he had a clue about business, and he just thought, well, I just want one promoter. So, you know, one of the biggest bugbears with promoters was that Sky gave all their rosters to Matchroom. So, you know, as Jay says, that's a good opportunity, because you know, Goodwin Promotions as well. You know, I've been to quite a few of his fights. A long time ago, it was about maybe 9 years ago, 2012. He had the little shows on in the York Hall. So promoters like that, promoters like that are putting fights on, but what's happening? They haven't got the TV behind them, so it could be a good opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's an opportunity for Sky. As much as they've lost Eddie Hearn, who I think both of you have agreed that is the biggest promoter in UK boxing at the minute, but as one door closes, another one will open, as they say. Matthew De Souza says, without the megaphone of Sky, Matchroom Boxing could go off the radar, just like Dazn USA. Do you think they'll go off the radar, Jay?
Not at all. Not with Eddie Hearn. He's the biggest mouthpiece you can get. That's why he's probably the best promoter out there.
Yeah.
Like, he's always going to be around. I think the zone's growing, so that's the thing. Like, I think with Sky, it's probably going to help Sky because with the budget that they had for boxing, it would make sense to start using the promotions and the promoters of a lesser extent because obviously money-wise, they won't have to pay as much of a fee. It's getting boxing still on. You've got to go back to the old times, I think, with Sky, like when they did get Eddie Hearn in. It might be a rebuild. So I think that, but then Dazn going out like Matchroom Boxing going out of business like Dazn or anything like that, I don't think that'll happen. I think, like you said, this could take over boxing for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a key to all of this is that we've seen a growth in Matchroom USA because at the start it was very slow, and Eddie admitted that, but it's starting to grow and develop, and he just nails the element of social media, Eddie, and that's why I don't think he will go off the radar at all. Richardson says, problem you have with the pay-per-view model is pretty much done. And so without an extra subscription package for Sky to push on the public, it will be hard for them to compete. One eye on the football, as always. Kenny, you've mentioned about the football and how much it plays a big role on Sky as a whole. Do you think losing boxing will be a big blow for them, or do you think they're just going to rely on football?
Well, it depends on the situation because you've got to remember, everyone's pleading poverty, especially like TV, stations like Sky, and if some of their budgets been cut because of COVID, then obviously, that as far as I'm concerned, in terms of the football, well, without Sky, if Sky Sports didn't have the Premiership or any other significant football, then I don't see how Sky Sports can function. I don't see how they can be relevant. They put all their eggs into one basket, which is the Premier League, and they've managed to secure the rights. Whenever there's a chance of someone other subscription service or satellite TV station, BT Sports. Remember, we had Satanta, and we had I think we had the ESPN as well, who were trying to fight for the rights. Each time, Sky raised the money because they know full well that they can, if they attract the family, Sky TV, they know that. Say you've got 4 people in the house, right? You're going to have at least one football fan in there.
Yep.
And that could be your daughter who loves football, or it could be a son who loves football. One of them's going to be a football fan. So what happens? You'll get the multi rooms, then you get the main box. So you get the multi rooms and the main box. That's £100. But without the football now, they can't charge that prices. That's why they bid for that, because they know there's a market for football. You know what I mean? And they know another thing as well, because they got the Premier League, they can share some of those rights, especially like the TV pictures all over abroad, because obviously they're the home provider. So if you go to Australia, Optus Sports, you go to Being in Sports, you got Al Jazeera, all these people. And you've got the NBC in the United States, all of them are showing football. That's big for Sky. So they can argue, we ain't got enough money for boxing. And Barney's not here. I know you agreed with Barney, but Barney's not here.
and then that could have a big effect on boxing. And I think that's why it's very, very important to find out the intentions of Ed Robinson and Adam Smith. It really is, because they need to come out and make an announcement. As soon as this is announced by Eddie Hearn, they need to come out, speak to us boxing fans, and tell us what the situation is, because they can still do something about Joshua and Dillian White.
And Dillian.
You know what I mean? And there's, I don't see, and there's other fighters. Obviously, the other fighters who are not as marketable are going to go with Eddie Hearn because they need Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Joshua and Dillian White don't need Eddie Hearn, but because they've got numbers on pay-per-view for their name, they can actually do their own deal with Sky.
Yeah, and obviously the cash cow is Anthony Joshua, and I believe Anthony Joshua will work with Eddie Hearn in some capacity. So it's just seeing whether, because we see these separate deals, but we don't actually know how long AJ and Dillian White have got left on these super deals. I'm just going to quickly mention the signature once again. Thank you very much for your kind donation of $1.99. He says, will DAZN take Matchroom Sports like darts? We briefly touched on it, but Jay, if you was DAZN, the head of DAZN, would you want the whole Matchroom package? Because as we know, I think the Darts Premier League is going on right now. It does huge numbers. We've got big names in the darting world like Michael van Gerwen, Peter Wright, Gerwin Price. If you was the head of DAZN, would you want that?
Yeah, of course, because Matchroom itself is a big brand, isn't it? Not just DAZN. DAZN's a brand on its own, but Matchroom's a brand on its own as well. So Matchroom's going to bring a lot to DAZN. So yeah, I can't see why not. I think that the darts would probably follow. It probably want it all under one roof. That's the best way to put it. Obviously, you don't want your business scattered around on different platforms. Probably, if you could get it under one place, then that'd be fantastic. But I'm not too sure about all of it. It's a bit crazy, like you say. You had the announcement that Eddie Hearn was the chairman of Matchroom yesterday, so that was a big statement, because he always said in his interviews, when he becomes chairman, Frank Smith's going to take over the boxing. He's always said that. But you always thought it was going to be a couple of years away, the way he was talking about it. And then when he announced that yesterday, I thought, oh, here we go. I'm not too sure. I think that, I think they would all go over to DAZN. I think that makes sense, business-wise anyway.
Yeah. Obviously, I think they are under separate contract at the minute, so it might be a process of over a couple of years as one contract runs out, another contract will open up. A121 Villain says AJ and White will be separate. So in other words, get ready for the DAZN UK pay-per-view. Yeah. We've spoke about it, the DAZN UK pay-per-view, and from my perspective, the DAZN was all about killing the pay-per-view model. So I think it'd be really interesting. I think it would get a lot of backlash if the DAZN started doing pay-per-views. I definitely think they will put their prices up, because surely you can't have all the huge names at $1.99 a month. That would be unbelievably optimistic. But Kenny Ken, would you be disappointed in the DAZN if they started doing pay-per-views?
Well, the thing about it, you've got to realise, right, is that fans are an afterthought. We've just seen with the European Super League, where a lot of fans generally believed that they had to say in it. And my feeling is, when you got big business involved in sport likes big business to get involved because they want things done professionally. But you've got to realise, when you're inviting people like DAZN into your sitting room, they're going to run your sitting room like a business, which means they're not going to play by your rules or do what you want them to do. So it's a pay-per-view thing is a success, and eventually it is going to make money, because simply you have to satisfy a fighter's demands. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, if remember Canelo's on a massive contract, was it with Golden Boy Promotions, and then because they couldn't fill the contract, couldn't pay him, he thought, all right, breach the contract, I'm off now. And he's gone now with in terms of DAZN, he's done a little deal with Matchroom. So if Canelo was fighting Jay, and he commanded $50 million for a fight, somehow we're going to have to satisfy Canelo's demands for his purse. The only way to satisfy someone's demands is pay-per-view. So they're going to have to eventually go down that route.
So it's inevitable for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%, because it's the only way you can satisfy it, especially when it's a big fight. Boxers know their worth nowadays. There's no Mickey Duff's about who gonna
there's no cartel
or Barney Eastwood's about that. Don't God bless their souls, but their monopoly over fighters is over. There's not going to be a situation where a fighter's going to see their check and start wanting to cry. You know what I mean? Because I know Jim McDonald used to always talk about that when they used to get their checks from Mickey Duff after a fight, they'd be gutted when they saw what he left them with.
Yeah, and that could potentially be the difference with Eddie Hearn, because everyone said Eddie Hearn is really good with money. Obviously, I don't know the hard figures. Make sure, guys, Pet Talk UK, hit that subscribe button, get involved in the comments. It's a big chat tonight. It is Eddie Hearn apparently signing a new big 9-figure deal with Dazn. Red or Dead says everything will be streamed soon. Dazn, Amazon will take over from Sky and BT, not just the football, everything. I've got to say, from a personal standpoint here, over the past 2 or 3 years, probably the likes of Netflix and Amazon Prime has eclipsed the amount of actual live television I watched. I don't know whether that's just my age, but Jay, could you see it going the same way with sports, like Red or Dead saying?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just the way the world's moving at the moment, like you say, with Netflix and all the streaming services. It's just the future. But with the comment then that he says not just boxing, everything, I think that it'll probably happen sooner rather than later. I reckon within the next 2 years, it'll probably push forward now. I think it's going to start rolling now that Eddie Hearn's gone over. All the other sports will follow. And then I'm with Ken. I'm quite shocked what's going to happen with Sky. I'm just thinking now, like, what sort of situation they might even have a plan for themselves already. That's why they've announced it now. Because Eddie don't go till July the 1st. It's quite a gap from now to then. They could have announced it a week or two before. So maybe they've got someone in place already. But I reckon, because Anthony Joshua and Canelo, they're not exclusive to the part of that deal already. Is that correct?
Yeah, Canelo's on a fight-by-fight basis anyway, we're led to believe. It's unknown with the AJ deal so far, I think.
So I think AJ probably will go on Sky, probably. Because I think Frank said in his interview that AJ's only got 1 or 2 more fights left with Eddie, like I heard yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe Anthony Joshua might stay with Sky and do his own thing because he's his own brand. They might go their separate ways. I can't see it happening, but you never know in anything in business. Or Dillian White could take over Sky on the pay-per-view there, and they could try and use him as a big name and try and move it forward that way. But I think it's interesting times for Dazn. I think it's a global network and it could be a powerhouse.
Yeah, we've got so many comments through coming here about Frank Warren should go to Sky, Wasserman Boxing, MTK. It's just created a massive, massive conversation here. So keep them coming in. And I'm going to move on the conversation just a bit. We can come back to this later. We look to the future with Dazn. And in the chat, make sure you get involved in this as well, because I'm really interested to know everyone's opinions on this. If you was Dazn and Eddie Hearn working together now to go forward, and you wanted this big Dazn Matchroom UK launch show, if you could have your perfect show for that, I'll ask both of you, what would it be? A main event, an undercard? What's your thoughts around it, Kenny?
Well, if I was Dazn, what thing is that obviously if Dazn is basically Eddie Hearn is Dazn's, foot into the UK market. So in order to attract fans, especially boxing fans, I'll be really pleased what I've got in front of me, because it seems like from what I've read from Mark, Coppinger in the United States, they're saying up and coming fighters. Because remember, what fans like is the up and coming fighters. So you can't get more up and coming than Conor Spence. Katie Taylor is a phenomenon. So you're basically covering the women's boxing angle as well. Actually, let me just have a check on my phone because I've just got Coppicher's comments up here. Sorry, won't be too long, guys.
No worries. We'll quickly move on to Jay then while you're getting that up, Kenny. What do you think about this if it was the first show?
All right, let's go for it then. Let's see what show we can get going. To kick the night off, I will go for Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. I know Tommy Fury's with Queensbury, but Eddie Hearn, he's worked with Jake Paul before. He's going to get the viewers in. It's all about the streaming. This is my card. This is my card. So
okay.
we'll go with that. Then I'll go Shannon Courtney versus Rachel Ball for the WBA title. I'll go for that for the next one. I think that's interesting. I'd also go Katie Taylor versus Serrano.
Oh,
I think that would be a good fight. Anthony Joshua definitely would be on there, but I don't know who he would fight.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll exclude
AJ from this one just because we don't know what the deal is.
My main event would be Dillian White versus Andy Ruiz.
Oh, what a heavyweight fight!
And the winner fights Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury.
Yeah, mouth-watering, Kenny.
Well, I've just got up, the Athletic, because basically what's happening is the Athletic, Mike Coppinger writes for the Athletic, and he's based in the UA. So basically it's saying, Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing have struck a record-breaking deal with broadcasting streaming service Dazn that is well worth into 9 figures. So we all know that. So basically what he's saying, it will now see many of Matchroom's premium British roster, including Callum Smith. So obviously Callum Smith, he was on Dazn just before Christmas. It was just Dazn, recently, because remember he fought Canelo, lost. Conor Benn, up and coming. Katie Taylor and Lawrence Collier. So those are the sort of fighters who are up and coming that obviously Dazn are probably saying, right, you're going to watch all these up and coming fighters, and when they win their world titles, in terms of Conor Benn and Lawrence Collier, obviously, in terms of like Lawrence Collier, when he becomes a unified champion, and in terms of like Callum Smith when he gets his title back, that's what they're trying to say. And what they're trying to say to the fighters, you could be big in the States if you go into Dazn. So it's those sort of things. So in terms of the roster, obviously, Katie Taylor, Jay's already mentioned that. You've got Lawrence Collier, good fight. Conor Benn, he might get that Sean Porter fight now that he's been asking for.
Yeah.
Well, Ennis, he's a big guy in America, up and coming. Ennis, make that for a world title or something. A world title eliminator fight.
Definitely.
Dare I say it, Virgil Ortiz?
Lawrence Collier, he's not going to be. They're talking about pushing up the heavyweight. You know what I mean? So there's some good fights up there. Dazn
fight Breeders. That'd be a good fight under the first Dazn card.
Exactly. Yeah. So So what's happening? He fights. Tries to unifies the title, and then he goes up to every fight. There's good fights. I know Eddie Hearn. He's trying to promote a fight between Hrgovic and Hunter, isn't it? So
Eddie Hearn won the purse bids. That could potentially be the main event, actually.
Yeah. So
I see that.
Because I know that sort of fight that definitely going to be Dazn that I'm looking forward to as well. So we rather than talk about potential fights, that's going to be there. Hunter versus Hrgovic, and obviously, they're going to try and get a lot of Collier, put him up the heavyweight, and get him doing headlining fights. Obviously, Britain and US, and see if he can accelerate himself into world title contention. So that's another good one.
Some of these young fighters might go to Sky though and think I could go with Sky. Like Conor Benn could be a pay-per-view star with Sky. You know what I mean? They could do. Because you've got to take your opportunities. If you're with Matchroom, there's limited opportunities, isn't there? There's so many fighters. So if Sky's going to take a new break, it could be an opportunity for some of these fighters to say, thanks, Eddie Hearn. No hard feelings, but I've got an opportunity here to be a star in my own right with Sky still. Do you know what I mean? Because Sky's going to need people that's going to be a face. You said Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn. Them two names could be the two names that take Sky forward if Sky wanted to poach him. So you never know.
Another fight I'm talking about. The thing is, Joe Joyce, he's still promoted by Frank Warren, isn't he?
Yeah, he's under contract with Frank.
Yeah, so Frank Warren. So what's happening is that obviously that's going to stay with BT, but Usyk, he apparently he's with Matchroom, isn't he?
I think his contract ran out.
Is his contract run out?
It may have run out. Yeah.
Now Usyk, that's whoever takes over. maybe if Sky want to work with one promoter, I say the Sauerland Brothers, get hold of Usyk. You know,
worked with Usyk before.
Worked with Usyk before. Get him on Sky. You know, and having like maybe a partnership and just rather, you know how the Klitschko's were taken from Ukraine and they worked with Burnt in Germany. Nothing to stop Usyk being a big star here. You know, heavyweight prospects. What's that?
I bet he's gutted. Wilder not taking that DAZN money. He would have been on a nice contract going into this.
Oh, definitely.
I think the thing with Wilder, anyone who hits like Wilder and can still knock a man out, there's going to be a clamour for him because, you know, if once he gets his head together, even though
but he's gone from 50, 60 million now to 5 to 10 million maybe. If that,
he's got to work his way up, isn't he?
But if he took that deal when Eddie Hearn offered it to him, he may not have even had that fight with Tyson Fury as much as it was a good fight. But and now he would have been on a big contract. At the moment, he's not got a fight scheduled. Who knows if he's going to fight? So I think he's probably not going to not be too happy that he didn't take that offer. But I think
that's why what's Dillian, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's going to be Dillian White, Andy Ruiz as the main event on the first DAZN show.
That'd be a fantastic fight. I've said before.
But 1 minute, sorry, Joe. If Dillian White isn't contracted to DAZN, and Dillian White wants to do a separate deal with Sky and pay per view.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If I was Sky, I'd be offering Dillian White the 2 moons to have that on Sky.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And I think with Dillian White, we've seen the pay-per-view buys growing as well, and I think they will continue to grow. And if anything, I know I hate to say it, but I think the loss to Povetkin may have even helped him out because that knockout went viral, and we've seen the comeback of Dillian White against Povetkin in the rematch. And I think that may have even built him up even more. I thought what was interesting as well was in Mike Coppinger's article, the first name was Callum Smith. I think, was it Kenny? Callum Smith, the first name?
It's Callum Smith.
Yeah, so, and he's moving up to light heavyweight. So him and Eddie has said because he can't make the super middle weight anymore. So could we potentially...
some fights for Callum Smith. I've got some nice domestic fights for Callum Smith.
Take it away, Kenny. Take it away.
I've got some nice domestic fights for Callum Smith, right? It's Callum Smith. And I'm probably going to leave out Callum Johnson because I think Callum Johnson's probably getting on a bit. But I would like seeing him with Buatsi eventually. Anthony Yards is pissed off. He feels that he didn't get the decision he felt he deserved against Lyndon Arthur. I'd like to see Callum Smith and Lyndon Arthur. That'd be good for Callum Smith. You know, first fight at light heavyweight, and it'd be good money for Lyndon Arthur. You know, there's some nice domestic fights. You know, because Callum Smith could lose. He could get bodied. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
He's fighting natural light heavyweights who can hit harder than him as well.
Yeah. Janjuai _ says, why are people talking about Eddie and Sky? The whole point of working with DAZN is that they launch in the UK and compete with Sky, which is a great point they bring up there. It is. Could it be, instead of Sky versus BT kind of, it could be Sky versus DAZN, or more likely at the minute, because we don't know who Sky are going with, or even if they will stay in boxing. Could it be BT versus DAZN? And how do you think that will work itself out, Jay?
I think I'm not too sure because DAZN, they've got all the American shows, haven't they? They've gone to Spain, Italy, but they had that one in New Zealand with Joseph Parker. They're expanding all around the world. So DAZN's a global outfit. Obviously, BT is just big in the UK and Ireland, I think. I'm not too sure if it's big anywhere else, but on a global stand, DAZN's huge. So DAZN, I don't think they'll have any issues. There's going to be all rivalry, isn't they? Because they're competing in the same line of work. So on that edge, they're all going to be competing. But I think that BT will be fine. They got the pay-per-views. They got a good stable of fighters. Frank Warren's a great promoter. Yeah, I think BT will be fine. But DAZN will be going places. They've eased up a bit on the spending. First year, they went a bit crazy to get the names in. But I think they're doing well. I like the zone. I like Eddie. I like Eddie's work ethic. I don't know what your opinions are on Eddie and that, but he gets the job done. No matter what your opinion is, he gets the job. I've never heard a fighter moan about their pay, which I really like. That I don't like fighters having to worry about pay and that. I think they should just worry about the fight. They never no issue. So Matchrooms, they're a good brand. Same with Queensbury's, they're a good brand. It's all good. Boxing's good. I mean, it's going to be good for boxing, so we'll all be happy.
Lady Chan is in the building. Hello, Lady Chan. She says Sky are deflated. No one will do it as big as Eddie did after on Sky. Certainly, whoever does take Sky on have got big boots to fill. Kenny, do you reckon they could live up to Eddie and Matchroom? Whoever it is.
See, that's the thing. You made a good point. You know, towards the end. You know, is this? You know, you talked about. We're all talking about. You know, people could work with Sky. You know, Sauerland Brothers. You know, fighters doing individual individual deals with Sky, but it's not having a contract. Eddie Hearn, Sky's get-out clause from boxing, and then so they can put all their eggs into what, you know, a couple of sports. Obviously, you've got the football, you know, with the Premiership. You know, I know Sky are trying their best to get back the Champions League football from BT Sports, and they're trying to do, you know, like gazump for that. So maybe that's where their budget can go. So, you know, that's another thing as well in terms of the cricket. I know Sky are trying to get back, like I said, the Australian cricket tours, live tours, which means they can show England play Australia in the Ashes. So that's going to cost a bit of money as well. Plus they got the T20 World Cup. So, you know, one thing we haven't touched, we've got to think about it. No more Eddie Hearn. Maybe that's their get-out clause. You know, one of the comments said that a lot of people, well, he used the word atrocious. I'll be more polite and say that maybe a lot of shows that Eddie's put on the last couple of years, especially some of the pay-per-views, have been underwhelming. I don't know what Jay thinks about that.
I was going to come to that. That was Matthew De Souza's comment. Just before Lady Jan's comment come up, he said that I'll try and find it here, but he said something along the lines of, for the past 2 years, apart from pay-per-views, Matchroom's boxing have been atrocious. What do you think about that, guys? What do you think? Have they been up to scratch?
Well, I think that's what I said to you earlier with Eddie. It's going to be a weight off his shoulders. I think for the last 2 or 3 years, he's been trying to keep both sides happy, the zone happy and Sky happy. And I think that did show on some of the shows that they were doing on Sky. I think that he was putting a lot of effort into the zone. I think Sky probably had a word with him, or they had words together and said, look, we've got to try and pick it up a bit. And that's why I think he done the old, what was it, in his back garden last year. Fight camp. I think that's why he done that. So I think that helped with Sky, got him on side. I think that's why it did struggle the last 2 years. Like Ken said, the last couple of years it has struggled a little bit. But I think that's because he was trying to get the shows in America, trying to get the shows over here. It must be difficult trying to juggle the amount of fighters that he had. He must have had at least
two broadcasters.
And two broadcasters as well to keep happy. All the budgets and that. It must have been horrendous for him sometimes, even though he's in a good position himself. But making them decisions. Look at all the fighters that haven't even been able to fight, and he's had all them shows. That shows you how many fighters and how difficult it probably was for him. But I think now, like you see, he'll focus on Dazn, and Dazn's going to have big fights. But pay-per-view by the end of the year on Dazn, I think.
100%.
Remember that, yeah. I'll just take you back to, I think it was February 2019, just to go with that comment about underwhelming Matchroom. I think, February 2019, I think it was the first Sky Sports boxing show of 2019. And it was openly said by Adam Smith that he was disappointed with that show. I think it was Ted Cheeseman versus Sergio Garcia, and the undercard featured Jake Paul versus Craig. Jake Paul versus Craig Richards, if I remember rightly. I think Scott Fitzgerald was out on that, and he said Fabio Wardley was out on that in one of his early fights. I remember I was at that show, and I think that was part of what Matthew De Souza said, because it was out. Even then, we're looking at 2 years ago now that sometimes Adam Smith and Eddie Hearn weren't on the same wavelength. Kenny, do you think this could have played a part in the Eddie signing with DAZN, or is it purely money?
Look, I still believe that Eddie Hearn probably doesn't have a close relationship with the new head of Sky Sports that he had with Barney Francis. I generally believe this because it was, it's Barney Francis' decision to work with one promoter. And Barney Francis was always critical of boxing when he first took over as head of Sky Sports in 2011. One of the first things he said was he wanted boxing to keep their act together. So I've always said that Eddie Hearn, was always looking for a bit of this. But obviously, you would have think that someone who's probably not got a close relationship with Eddie Hearn, there's Barney Francis, is going to think, "Wang on here. I'm not satisfied with the shows," because we had a little bit of a standoff just before Christmas with Joe Gallagher. Now, he wasn't very happy. He wasn't very happy that his fighters weren't getting fights. He was completely disappointed that Natasha Jonas only fought once in the end. And the first thing he said, "Well, come on, that's a single mother here. She needs more fights." And then he was going to Adam Smith, and Adam Smith was saying, "No, it's not us. You need to speak to the promoters or the managers." So there has been a lot of dissatisfaction with Sky and their rosters. I'm not getting that with Frank Warren as such. So maybe what Joe says is that
it's more stable, though. I think, isn't it? At Queensbury, it's not as big like we were saying.
Yeah,
you had Sky and DAZN, two broadcasters. He probably had about 150 fighters, maybe.
Yeah.
Across the world that he had to try and get fights for. So it was probably difficult for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a few fighters be released from Matchroom or
jump ship,
not have their contract renewed.
Well,
yeah.
I was just thinking about poor old Josh Warrington. He left Eddie Hearn because his contract went out, and he went to Frank Warren, got a nice big pay-per-view with Carl Frampton. He's gone back to Eddie Hearn. His first fight, he fought with Lara, and that happened to him. You know what I mean?
But that's another big show, the rematch. That could potentially be on DAZN.
Yeah,
it probably will be. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Adventurous Vlogger says, "I think the rights to the Premier League are up for offer again soon. I don't particularly know about all the rights to the Premier League, but he said maybe Sky will save the money and outbid the others for football again, because I can see where he's coming from, because with the likes of DAZN moving to the UK market, Amazon, BT, the competition is rife. Do you think they are going to need to put more money together for football, which, as we've mentioned earlier, is the main sport of not only the country, but Sky as a brand? Kenny?
Yes, because you've got to remember, right, it was a warning shot. Jay Tom Erie supported. I won't repeat that on camera. I know you're a West Ham fan as well, but one of the things about the ESL, right, is that there was $3 billion on offer, £1 billion on offer, and over. It's clear that they had their own subscriber, and Sky were not part of the deal. That's why you had all of their people like Gary Neville, Joe, Carve Solakau, and people like Gary Neville going yeah about the prospect of an ESL, which means Sky know that there are bigger people with more money who are ready to take the rights off them. So they're going to have to, fulfill football's demands, because a lot of football, channels, they have their skin. You know what I mean? A lot of football clubs, have lost a lot of money through COVID, so they're going to want some of that money back. So what's happening is that football are going to try and charge a massive deal, the Premier League. Because remember, you've got to realise with Sky, the Premier League, as you've got people like Simon Jordan now saying, the Premier League are such a massive organisation with a lot of clubs that they actually could do their own TV deal and actually, use their own platform to show live matches. They don't actually need Sky. They could, and they can do their own separate deals and say, right, this is a Premier League TV, blah blah, and football fans may subscribe to it. So they have to stop the Premier League from doing it by putting. So mate, boxing could be an afterthought. That's a good thing. But as we say, I pray that's not the case. I pray that fighters now become businessmen, which a lot of the top fighters are become businessmen. I think, right, there's a free for all there. We don't necessarily have to be under the Matchroom umbrella and wait for Eddie to give us our checks. We'll do our own deals with Sky where we know we're going to get the money.
Yeah, no, it's a great point there about money, really, and about how the landscape of not only sport but TV, the whole broadcast industry is changing, and it's changing quickly. Who would have thought a couple of years ago that we would have had the likes of Amazon, a courier service, showing the Premier League? It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, guys, keep subscribing to Pep Talk UK. It's the road to 18,000 subscribers. Keep the chats coming in, like the live stream, so we can keep putting these out for you and keep getting quick updates like tonight. We've all come together, so I thank both of you for coming on so quick. We're going to carry on talking about what fights could potentially be on Dazn in the early stages. What's going to happen with Sky? Ski Jumpto says Wasserman will be the new Sky promoters. I've seen a lot of comments saying that, and I've tried to find a comment here about someone said about the Matchroom pay-per-view targets, and he wondered if they were met, and could this result in legal battles? And that is one thing we don't want to see. We don't want to see any legal cases. Do you think there will be, Jay, any legal cases to do with Sky, Eddie Hearn and Dazn?
There could be. I'm not too sure now. I don't worry about stuff like I'm just worrying about the fights and that. Financially, they can, whatever deals they've got in place, that let them crack on, and that we've got enough to worry about them making the fights. So I reckon on Sky, though, I do think they will be taken over by Wasserman and Sauerland Brothers. And I reckon that they should bring back the prize fighter nights, stuff like that. That used to... I think Sky lost all that when they stopped doing shows like that. That was like the magic of it, like the casual fan like that. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want, the casual fans as well as the hardcore fans. And then prize fighter nights, they were fantastic. And I think that's what really started Eddie Hearn on his journey, was them fun nights. And I think they need to do stuff like that, definitely.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it's me and my wife actually went to a prize fighter night live on Sky, and we were at Bethnal Green. Basically, because it's such a small hall, you're actually every seat you're in the Bethnal Green except for the gods. You're actually at ringside. It's that quick. Yeah, you can feel. And we were actually there when Aldy Harrison won it for the second time, and Eddie Joshua was in the audience. So I know exactly where you're coming from in terms of.
Imagine a heavyweight prize fighter at the moment. You've just had Dave Allen announce he's coming back. Imagine Dave Allen versus Fabio Wardley first round, and then Alan Babbitt or something fighting in the other round against someone, against David Price or something. Everyone loves all that sort of thing, don't they? A little knockout tournament with fighters like that.
Yeah, they do. And go on, Kenny.
Maybe I don't know if Fred Warren's going to let Adelaide go prize fighter, because Adelaide's boy. But it's a good thing because prize fighter was massive. Another thing as well, women's boxing is massive in this country as well.
Yeah, women's prize fighter.
Why can't we have a female version of prize fighter? There's a lot of female fighters who it's a small pool. There's a lot of female fighters who want to be the next Shannon Courtney. They want to be the next Katie Taylor. They want to be the next Terry Harper and the next Rachel
Wasserman
Ball.
and Sauerland get that. They could do a women's super series, which they haven't done yet.
Yeah, they said they wanted to do that as well. They said they wanted to do it. The problem I just thought with the domestic prize fighter with women's boxing is within each weight division. I'm still not sure whether there is enough depth for domestic female fighters in one weight division. Certainly, maybe if it was like the recent Ultimate Boxer show that was on ITV, they just had 4. They had 4, and that could be a route for the women's boxing. But in my point of view here, that I think Dazn are going to be really, really smashing women's boxing. I think they've got so many female stars, and they're going to see that as the future. Female boxing growing. That's why I agree with you, JJ. You said about Shannon Courtenay versus Rachel Ball, the rematch. I think they'll love that. They'll love that fight. They would took one look at Shannon Courtenay versus Ebony Bridges and think, yeah, we want some of that. We want to grow in places.
I've got another fight.
We haven't grown. Go on, Jay.
Versus Savannah Marshall.
What's that?
Fantastic fight.
Clarissa Shields.
Yeah, versus Savannah Marshall.
Clarissa Shields wants her money, and Eddie Hearn said, well, she doesn't put enough bumps and seats in terms of pay-per-view, but, you know, she's got the belts, and so, you know, Savannah Marshall's got the belts, and Clarissa Shields had a very good point about Savannah Marshall's opponents. Yes, Savannah Marshall, bloody hell, she hits like a ball, like a mule, and she apparently she hits harder than some of the male fighters. That's the male saying it, but her CV in terms of who she's fought, really.
Yeah, look at the depth though. The depth in women boxing ain't that great, so you can only beat who's in front of you. Look, you're having 5 fights and you're having a world title fight. That's unheard of in the male game.
Yeah, you're talking about Ebony and Shannon again, aren't you? It's true, yeah.
But they're impressive. There are some good women fighters out there. They just need more exposure.
I think the impressive. Go on, Kenny.
I still think I think because of what Sky's done, and I think that's where I'm a bit disappointed with Frank Warren. There will be a conveyor belt of good fighters coming on. I don't think that. I think only the best fighters will get through the system's best women fighters. Yeah. You know, some. I have to admit, last year I wasn't impressed, but this year the standard has been more impressive for me this year in terms of like the fights I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, I can certainly agree with certainly some of the early fights. I think there was a Shannon Courtenay fight. It might have been a second pro fight, and obviously it's your second professional fight, so it is obviously not going to be a well beater. But I think I remember that one was pretty bad. But again, it's depth, isn't it? That we can all agree now.
Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall, isn't there? Savannah Marshall's the only woman to ever beat her, so it sells itself. There's not enough women fights that sell. That's the problem. You need a story behind it. That's why the Shannon Courtenay and Ebony Bridges fights sold, because there was a story behind it. So I think these fights with the stories will bring women's boxing and boxing in general closer together, and it's a great fight. And Savannah Marshall's definitely got a chance. Do you know what I mean? Like Ken said, she punches like some of the male fighters. She's got a good trainer in Peter Fury. I think people should get behind her, especially I think she's a really good fighter. And at a heavier weight, you don't really see women at a heavier weight like that.
No, I agree.
And that power is strong.
No, HJM says, when Dazn came to the UK, the writing was on the wall, and it certainly seems like that. I'm going to say something else about what fighters are going where. And you mentioned about Savannah Marshall, the only female to beat Clarissa Shields, amateur or pro. I think what will be really telling is whether the Olympics goes ahead or not, whether these big Olympic prospects, Team GB, because I think whether the Olympics goes ahead or not, certainly a lot of them, Fraser Clark, Pat McCormack, will be turning pro. And if you was a young amateur prospect coming out of the Team GB system, who would you want to go with at the minute? Would you want to go with BT Sports, who at the minute now look like the most steady? Because I'd go with Frank. Yeah, you go with Frank, because Sky Sports are looking for a new promoter. Dazn, a brand new in the UK promotion, and obviously BT, they've been steady for 5 or 6 years now. Jay, you said you go with Frank. Well, do you want to explain on that?
Yeah, of course. I'd go with Frank, not because I think that they're any better than Matchroom. I think they're all good promotions. I think just because Eddie's got so many fighters. So if you want an opportunity as a young fighter, it's not also necessarily to go to the best promotion. It's to go to the promotion where you're going to be the most active. And if you're going to be more active at Queensbury with Frank, then Frank gives you good opportunities. I listen that he's got Daniel Dubar. If he wins his next fight, he's going to be mandatory for the WBA title.
Yeah, Trevor Bryan's
so he's done that after a loss. Then Frank can still get you the fight. So yeah, I'd go there for the opportunities, because there is opportunities there, because it's a smaller stable. You still got pay-per-view. You still got BT on a Saturday night. I'd go with Frank.
Kenny Ken, if you was coming out of the Olympics, maybe with a medal or otherwise, big Team G prospect, who would you go with?
I'll definitely Frank's still a great, promoter, and he has got the guaranteed TV schedules as well, where fighters, because at the end of the day, you don't go on TV, you don't make money. So BT Sport have got a secure relationship with Queensberry Promotions. You definitely go with Frank Warren. And one thing is that touching on Jay's point as well, Frank Warren's done something really good this weekend. That he's won the purse bids from Matchroom.
Yeah.
For for the fight between Denzel Bentley and Felix Cash. Now, obviously, he's shown Denzel Bentley that he really believes in him, and he's to the extent he's heavily promoted him on the BT ads and blah blah. If this goes well for Frank Warren, and this fight is like the barnstormer that I hope it is, this can only push Frank Warren up. And then this could show other fighters, let's get on a feed, because Matchroom could easily, got a purse bids for that fight. They could have easily outpriced Frank Warren, but they didn't. I'm not saying they didn't believe in Felix Cash, but Frank Warren really believed in Denzel Bentley, and that was significant for me. And then, because I was hearing the rumours, that Eddie Hearn's contract was coming up with Sky. Jay, mentioned it as well. And I thought, well, it's definitely happening. And then 2 days later, it's happened. So I'm not saying Eddie Hearn's, like I said, gone off his game, blah, blah. But as you said, he's got a huge workload, isn't he? Got loads of fighters that he's got to keep happy.
Jones, though? Sam Jones at S Jam, they got Joe Joyce, they got a good stable of fighters.
Yeah.
I think, do you reckon they'd be good for young fighters to go to?
Well, definitely. Sam Jones is a good little good young manager, young lad as well.
I think with Sam Jones, though, because of his stable of fighters still relatively small, I think he's like managing them and then getting separate promotional deals. So if we look at, he's obviously managing Joe Joyce, but then he's actually signed with Frank Warren to be promoted by him as well. So whilst his roster remains this small at this developmental stage for Sam Jones, because he hasn't been in the game for long, but don't get me wrong, he's done a fantastic job as well. We look at like Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bull, he's fighting on Sky shows. Yeah. So again, I think Sam Jones at the start of his career, when he had that bust up with Bermain Hearn, if I recall, I think a lot of people were questioning him in the sport, whether he was a good manager, but I really think he proved himself to be, if you're someone wanting to turn over, Sam Jones is certainly a guy you want to be signing with, along with MTK, and then he may even get you on the big shows, the Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn show. I think, here we go.
You saw MTK?
Yeah.
The thing about it, right? Well, Sky, because obviously who it is. The BBC Panorama. We all saw that. We're not going to mention the guy's name, but
no.
Obviously, would Sky want to work exclusively with this guy? Because normally, or would they want to work with the fighter directly? That's my thing. But if Sky want to work for the fighters directly, then that's all good, because you're talking about Sam Jones. He's got one of the probably most self-promoted fighters that I've seen in a long while, Foreign and Michael, isn't it? Welterweight.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Sky going to spend any of their budget on him anyway, especially putting him on a headline. But I know Foreign Michael was on I think he has been on Frank shows a few times. I
think he did just sign with Matchroom, though, just at the end of last year, because obviously he had that draw on the AJ card, and then he beat Ryland Cholton. So I think he may have signed with Matchroom, And Boxing Ramble
with fighting this Saturday on BT. James
Who's
Stewart.
That?
Yeah, James Stewart.
That's the draw, isn't it?
Yeah,
so he's got an opportunity from it, which is fantastic. And that's great. Good on Frank Warren for giving the opportunity. Boxing Ramble agrees, said MTK, he think will take the Sky Sports slot. And I saw a comment earlier that come up that we didn't get around to about saying about Dennis McCann being given so many opportunities by Frank, which is fantastic. And that led me
in the making.
Yeah, fantastic. But one of the best prospects in the UK, if not the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it led me to think, I don't know if either of you saw it, but BT released their Future of Boxing video
Yeah, I
a
saw
couple
that.
of
Yeah,
days ago. And I can't. I'm trying to think of all the fighters off the top of my
Willie
head. You had
Hutchinson was on there.
Willie Hutchinson was the only one who's lost. I think who's believed it may have been
Yeah.
recorded before the loss, maybe.
Yeah,
Dennis McCann, Hamza Shiraz,
Adelaide.
and David Adelaide, and I think there was one more. But we look at David Adelaide. Even he's fighting again this weekend, I think, isn't he? So he's getting opportunity. And like you said, you made a fantastic point here. And so I think HJM Boxing made it in the comments as well. You'd rather be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. Like it's timing. And again, each fight is different, but it just brings more competition to the game. And hopefully it don't go the other way, because I hate to bring a downer on all this, but it could potentially go the other way, because I would hate for it to happen, but it could be that there'll be more fights not being made, because if Sky go their separate way, and now Eddie's gone his separate way, Dazn and Frank's gone their separate way, could it mean that fights won't happen, that each promoter will stick to themselves?
No, thinking about it now, and I've had time to think about it, I think this is going to probably help BT and Dazn to work together more, because I think Sky and BT definitely weren't going to work together. And I think with the timing, it's saying July the 1st, and now I'm thinking, well, AJ Fury's going to be after that. Maybe this is what's helped get the deal over the line for that fight, is that Dazn's going to work with BT instead of BT working with Sky. Do you know what I mean? Because that was going to be a big rivalry, but where AJ's not part of the exclusive deal, maybe he will still be on Sky box office for that fight. But I think Dazn and BT probably will work together more. And I think maybe Frank and Eddie and the Matchroom team and Queensbury have probably spoke a lot more than they ever have with this Fury fight. And maybe they might be able to work together more in the future, because they're not arguing as much. Do you know what I mean? Even Frank's not arguing with Eddie as much. You know? And I feel like maybe the communication's a lot better. And maybe I was really up for the Matchroom versus Queensbury card. I thought that would have been a great idea, probably for the AJ Fury fight, because I reckon there's some big fights that would have been good, and it probably could happen now. Maybe.
Well, it's definitely could
happen.
Not a Sky that mind you,
there's more chance, don't you think, with Dazn and BT working than BT and Sky?
100%. But the thing is that in terms of I know Sky and BT I've got both the potentially both the fights with Fury and Joshua Fury, whatever order you want to put them in. I know BT and Sky are showing them both on pay-per-view. So that's definitely right. But
has that been announced definitely then, is it?
Well, from what I've heard, that's the way it's going to go. It's going to be on
Eddie
both
says
channels.
that the site fee's been agreed, but Frank Warren says that no site fee's been agreed, and that was only 2 days ago. So
yeah, but the thing is,
until it's announced, you can't really. I don't know what to believe.
What I heard yesterday is that I heard it's going to be in Saudi Arabia, and they got 3 dates: the 23rd of July, 30th of July, and the 7th of April. But Frank Warren's got his doubts, because if the Olympics go ahead, then Ron McCracken works for Team GB into Team GB Boxing, and that's his premier job.
Yeah, no, I don't want to just go in that AJ Fury hole again, but we'll mention it very quickly about what you're saying there, because it is a good point about broadcasters with AJ Fury. From my perspective, I think the fight can't be made without it being a joint broadcast between BT and Sky. But do you think there could be a very small possibility, Jay, that Dazn may have swooped in under their feet and had sole broadcasting licenseship in the UK for the big fight?
Well, yeah, because AJ is going to be on Dazn USA, isn't he? So he's already going to be on Dazn over in America. So I don't know what will make any difference to him coming over. And like we said, July the 1st, it ends with Sky. is Eddie going to want to keep doing some pay-per-view shows with Sky when he's left that? He's going to want to just focus on Dazn, I would have thought. So I don't know.
It's just legally whether he gets the choice.
Yeah,
I don't think that'd be on Dazn. I think what's happening is I think one of the agreements. I mean, Eddie's last gift for Sky was that fight, the Fury Joshua fight on both
Good
BT
point,
and
Kenny.
Sky. So it's definitely going to be on both the channels. I don't think Sky are going to miss out on that fight. They didn't anyway.
I think Sky though, over the last 2 years, like you say, Kenny, with the shows and that, I think all round, I think they needed to improve. I think on the production side sometimes, maybe freshen it up with some of the panelists that they have on there and the commentary.
Yes.
I don't know what you guys think about. I think when the times change,
complete agreement with you. Complete agreement with you.
Or even just change it week in, week out. Maybe 1 week have a certain commentary team and panelists. The next week have a different load. I just think it was too stale. Do you know what I mean? And I like all the
100%.
people on there, but I just think you just needed a freshen up.
Well, the thing about it is you look at the commentary. The commentary I'm getting on BT Sport as opposed to Sky is fresher. I actually like it's fresher. Like what I've got nothing against it, but nothing against Macklin. But I would like to see another, like co-commentator. He's very good what he does, Macklin. Bit biased, but as he said, a bit freshen up a bit,
Well, like on Dazn, Paul Smith was on there. He used to do Sky Sports, and he hasn't been on Sky for ages. And that's people like that. I just think change it up a little bit. BT sometimes they have Cole Frampton comes on. Just change it up.
David Hayes on there a lot of times.
Lyndon Arthur's on this weekend.
Yeah,
it's always the same people on Sky. I felt it was always the same guests coming on. It was because where they were with Matchroom, and I just felt like maybe get some new, fresh ideas in that. But like we said earlier, with the prize fighter, different fights, different events.
I think with Matchroom, I think like people. Well, the reason why you probably see like a lot of Carl Froch and like Tony Bellew on Sky's coverage, pay-per-view or just normal coverage, because that's an extension of their mateship with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn.
Football now.
Eddie Howe's the ex-Bournemouth manager, could be the next manager for Spurs. But Eddie Hearn, that's a mates thing, isn't it? Johnny Nelson. Well, basically, he's in an institution at Sky, isn't he? He was there a long time before the exclusive contract with Matchroom, so you don't mind him. Anna Warhouse, she looks the part. She keeps herself fit in terms of like she's into physical fitness. So and she knows her stuff in terms. She's very prepared. So I'm happy with that. But may freshen up a bit.
Well, just like I said, not maybe change it like where they're not there all together. Just each week change it up and have different people each week, like maybe Anna one weekend presenting and another presenter the following week, just so it's something different. Like with the next gens and that, like maybe have certain ones for the next gen and the Saturday night shows, and then for the pay-per-view ones, you have the big dogs out. Do you know what I mean? And then you get the Tony Bellews out and the Cole Froches and just to change it up a little bit. That's all I say. But
I must say that's one. Yeah, good. Finish. Sorry, Jay. Sorry to interrupt.
That was just my thing. I just think Sky over the last couple of years just went a bit stale, and that was my only issue with it. That was all.
That is one thing. To be fair, I kind of got out of my head there about this, the whole next gen shows, because without crowd, they haven't been able to do the next gen shows.
Will they be on their own?
That plays a huge part. I love the next gen card because it gives more people opportunity, and it'd be great if you got a new feel to it, like a different feel. Obviously, say what you like about the Triller show at the weekend. It had a very different aesthetic to your normal fight night. So maybe they'd have different set for a next gen, or they might add a tournament like Prize Fighter, and we could get lots of different sets. A bit like, I don't know off the top of my head, with the WWE, what they do, they have Raw and SmackDown. They have two. They could brand it separately. So Oh, go on, Jay.
No, I was going to say also with on the shows and that. What about? I would like the WBS. Do they still do that? Shows like that. So then, before they turn pro, seeing them before. Do you know what I mean? And then
I think they've
already got a profile. Or bring something like that back.
Yeah,
you know
no, definitely.
Wasn't that WBS? Wasn't that on ITV?
Because it was online, wasn't it? I'm not
yeah,
sure.
the amateur, the 5-round things, Kenny? You
Oh.
know where Joe Joyce fought Alexander Usyk on that one, on them in the amateur.
I remember. I actually remember watching that a few years ago.
It's no headgear. It's like in between amateurs and professionals,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah,
And I just think something like...
Oh,
sorry, Ken.
Kenny broke up there.
Serves you right. Usyk won that quite wide on points, didn't he, against Joe Joyce?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the weights were a lot different.
Usyk beat Joe Joyce on points, isn't
it? Yeah.
And I think Joe Joyce beat Filip Hrgovic.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea, Jay. But certainly about maybe even just bringing the amateur boxing into the fold with Dazn, even to build the fighters from that early stage. So Dazn could even go, look, you're looking to turn pro within the next couple of years. We'll show your fights, but if you sign with us, and then you build them up before they even turn pro, which would be fantastic. And another thing that just comes to my head about, we see the Matchroom shows. So we've got Chris Lloyd and Darren Barker usually with their Matchroom post-fight before the bell. And I don't know about you, but I really like them shows.
I love them.
Again, it feels fresh. It feels different. I don't know whether Dazn and Matchroom could merge for that, or Dazn could do their own thing. We've seen Gareth A. Davis do a little bit with Dazn.
Yeah, that's right. I see him a lot on Dazn, a lot of times,
So going forward, do you think there could be room for these shows? We saw Dazn Daily got released, that announced yesterday, I believe, about daily shows. Do you think there's room for British shows like Ringside used to be? Do you think Dazn could enter a world like that, Kenny?
They have to. They have to. The simple reason is that you can't spend that much money on the rights and do a show of an exclusive, one of the top promoters in the world and the number one promoter in Britain. You have to, if you bought the money, then fill the schedules. You can't just tell boxing fans to pay blah blah £1.99 to try and increase your prices. Then fat them up with information. You remember what Sky did? Ringside, love it. I miss it. I still miss that
fantastic show. Fantastic.
One of the best boxing shows I've seen. And why they got rid of it and why they put it on a podcast, I'll never know.
This is why Sky's losing Eddie, isn't it? That's what we're trying to say. That this is why Sky might be losing boxing, losing all stuff like this.
All right, obviously it's a bit for your time, Joe. But when Sky Sports first got the football in '92, they didn't just have the matches; they had the footballers' football show. So it was it's a discussion with Richard Keys, Andy Gray, and you had a panel of ex-footballers, and it was really, really popular. It was like a conversation down a pub, but it was like Sky saying, "We're putting our mark. We've got the rights, but we're not just going to show you the fights. We're going to show we're committed by having this, like podcasts in terms of a show version like that." And I think Dazn 100% they got to do that.
They got to match that. Yeah,
you've got the exclusive rights. Then show you're committed to boxing. That's how I look at it.
Another potential show or route you could go down is the whole life story kind of thing. Like Ringside done a few specials, didn't they? I think with Ricky Hatton, Nigel Benn, they done specials which were really enjoyable. But then you look at, I don't know if either of you listened to it, Trish Dixon's Boxing Life Stories.
Yeah.
Something like that. I listen to that every week. I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I urge any viewer to listen to that. So I think there's real scope there for Dazn to really build a brand and really build fighters up in their own personal way, because they're not limited to TV slots, which I think is key. They can release or not release as much content as they want without being restricted to 7 o'clock on Sky Sports main event or something like that. Do you think that could benefit Dazn going forward, Jay?
Yeah, definitely. I think that streaming service is going to be looking for the people who stream, which is going to be people that go online quite a lot. So like you say, they're going to be online doing the YouTube shows, doing the Matchroom shows on there. I think Matchroom in the end, like Ken said, will probably do their own channel in the end. They'll probably be just a Matchroom platform that you probably have to subscribe to, probably.
Yeah, because there's that Matchroom Media coming out as well, which Eddie announced. Yeah.
So I think they should do that. But I think Matchroom will go down doing lots of content. I think they should do like a reality show in the sense of like the Contender Series, something like that.
Oh, do you remember that?
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like something like that. Sergio Mora, who does the commentary on Dazn USA at the moment, he was on that recently.
He was the first contender. He was the first contender, isn't it? He
I
beat,
think shows like that would really hit it off.
Peter Manfredo, 2005.
Yeah, Peter Manfredo Jr.
Junior, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that they just need to basically with Dazn, they're going to look at younger subscribers, and I think formats like that would be ideal because I don't like keep going to the UFC, but they're a good product. They have the Dana White Contender Series. This is what I'm trying to say to you. Before they get into the main shows and the professionals, let the public see them in these sort of situations. They build a bit of a profile, so you've got the fans behind them already, and you know what they're about. So I think something like that would be ideal. Like Eddie Hearn's Contender Series. What are you saying?
Yeah,
So,
I like that because obviously I'm not a big UFC fan, Jay, but correct me if I'm wrong. The Contender, is it the winner gets a contract with the UFC?
Yeah,
is
so
that
what
right?
do, he'll have like 5 fights on that evening.
Yeah.
And after each fight, at the end of the evening, what he'll say is he'll talk about whether he wants to give whoever a contract. You might win and still not get a contract. If he doesn't think you're ready at that opportunity, he'll say come back in a year's time. But that's the ideal of it. At the end of the night, he's got 5 opportunities to give out a contract. And if you get a contract, you get a deal with the UFC. So like with Eddie Hearn, you could do it, and he'll give you a year's contract with Matchroom. You get 3 fights, and then it's a building block. Do you know what I mean? But it's also content out as well, and also it's another way to build it. I just think that there's so many different things they could do. Even a Matchroom performance center. Do you know what I mean? Somewhere where they've got somewhere to train their fighters.
Definitely.
Just things like that. That's what you're going to see probably. Things like this growing and that. So I think Dazn will help that with all that money.
And we mentioned like a prize fighter style event. Maybe the winner of that could get the contract of a prize fighter. So each month or every few months, the Boxing Ramble said here they could do their own golden contract. I think the golden contract works incredibly well. And if they did that, I just feel like tournaments always bring attention to the sport. And B Real says a new contender, that he would love that, and I know a lot of people would. Fly on the wall things as well. But going back to the tournament, I think a key to this is building up that next big British heavyweight. Like, I don't know how you feel about that, but we've got a lot of young heavyweights from Britain, as we spoke about. David Adelaide, Johnny Fisher, Fabio Wardley, just to name a few there. Do you think it's important, Kenny, to really build this next heavyweight star to move on from Joshua? And do you think DAZN are the broadcasting to do that?
Well, 100%, 100%, because the simple reason is that, that we have to have a conveyor belt, with Fury with his mental health and Joshua with his business interests as well. There has to be life after those two, and we need healthy competition for the next reign. Dillian White is not going to be around too long as well. So for me, DAZN could really do a really, really good job. And I still, I know, during the 80s, I know Canelo's the next best thing. But at the end of the day, the heavyweight scene is what boxing fans really care about. It's just like athletics. If you look at athletics, you look at the 100-meter race. You like the javelin, you like the 200 meters, you like the triple jump, but it's really those guys who can run, about 9.5 seconds. The same with heavyweight boxing. Those big blokes who can knock someone out. That's a glamour division, and I think DAZN have got a really, really good opportunity to build that scene up. And with all those fighters you mentioned, Adelaide and Wardley as well, that's a good opportunity for these guys. Really good opportunity, and it's a good opportunity for DAZN as well, because at the moment. And I think that's where Eddie comes in. Eddie's got all these great fighters, these big heavyweights, so he could take them with him. Although I'm just reading, the reason why I'm reading as well, Anthony Joshua has to negotiate separately with DAZN if he wants to actually be part of Eddie's deal. DAZN's contract is with Matchroom, and with certain fighters contract with Matchroom. I think with Anthony Joshua, although he's promoted by Eddie Hearn and blah blah, so Dillian White, I think they've got their own separate TV deals.
Yeah.
So what will happen? So, you know, according to the information I'm just reading now, Sky are going to be getting shared pay-per-view rights for both the fights with BT Sport for Tyson Fury and Joshua, and after that, Anthony Joshua's free to do his own TV deals. So, and that could be with Sky. We hope it is with Sky, or it could be with Dazn. But he isn't actually part of that network. It's neither Dillian. So.
So a lot of freedom to move around with those sort of fights.
It's free as a bird, but you know, if Eddie Hearn could get Dillian White and Anthony Joshua, because Eddie Hearn did say, "I want Dillian White to fight in America more."
Yeah,
that's a good opportunity for you know, Dillian White to you know, sign up with Dazn, maybe or he could just do a deal where Sky could get the rights and Dazn can get the rights as well, a shared deal. Whether probably get bus money.
Dillian White, Andy Ruiz. That's what they wanted for the Dazn UFC.
Well, yeah,
and the Dazn Mexico.
But that's the thing. So he hasn't mentioned it, but he just said that he wants to push him out in America. So they must have had a discussion. He must have told Dillian White, "Oh look, you
Eddie
know what?
Hearn's now going to pick fights from what nations he's working at. If you think about it, do you know what?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So
he's done a show in Uzbekistan as well.
So like with Joseph Parker, he had him in New Zealand not long ago. New Zealand Dazn, and now he's fighting Derek Chisora. So you might now find a lot of fights will be made on basically from what countries they're from, how big the fight could be. So I don't know if that will affect things in a good way or a negative way, to be honest.
Yeah, it'll affect us because what time we get up in the morning, what time we're watching these fights.
But we see with Liam Williams and Andre, they can make it. They're not afraid to make it earlier.
Oh, in America, they like doing it early afternoon.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think we'll see. I don't think it's been confirmed, but I don't think we will see Canelo Billy Joe. I think that will be a late one for us because Canelo is such a big star that they will put in prime time in the US.
Oh, that's going to be a 5 o'clock one in 2 weeks' time. But,
but again, if it's that big magnitude of fight, you don't really mind because we've had to do it since I've been watching boxing, and I'm sure probably since you've been watching boxing, Kenny.
I remember and Jay. And then Mayweather, there you go. 5, 6 in the morning. Do you know what I mean? So
there you go.
Yeah, well, that's for the American market. You know, the prime time fight. I remember one time, you know, I was only about in my teens. Frank Warren fought Tim Witherspoon. Again, a fight that wasn't live on TV. It had to go live in America, and we watched the highlights.
Frank Bruno, do you mean? Frank Bruno. You said Frank Warren.
Sorry, not Frank Warren. Frank Bruno.
Frank Warren. I thought, whoa.
No.
I
would have paid to see that.
Sorry about that. Frank Bruno fought Tim Witherspoon in 1986, July 1986. The fight was at midnight, between midnight and 1 o'clock, because he wanted to go out to a primetime audience in America. I think it was HBO. So what's happened is that we didn't see the fight live. It went exclusively in America. Next morning we saw the fight, and by that time you wake up, and you try to listen to the radio, and you know. And my brother, I knew the result. I said to my brother, "Don't find out. Let's watch the fight." He puts the news on. He goes, and the first thing he said, Frank Bruno has failed in his attempt to win the world title, and the fight was at Wembley. It was at Wembley Stadium, and it only went live out to America, and we watched the highlights, and that was in '86. So it just shows you the whole sort of situation is that, you know, Americans love their own comforts, and you know, a fight like that is. Oh, I'm not, you know, trying to put Andre down, but if Andre was a bigger star, would that fight have been to suit us at the time? It suits British viewers.
Yeah, no.
They done that for the Jake Paul fight, didn't they?
Yeah, and I wonder. We've gradually seen it over the past couple of years as Eddie has had both deals. Do you think we'll get even more big US fighters coming over to the UK and vice versa? Do you think we'll see a lot more of that? And hopefully, if you're a UK fight fan, imagine the prospect of, dare I say it, Canelo coming over to the UK. It's a long shot.
Love it.
Do you think we could see it? Do you think we could see more of these pound-for-pound stars coming over to the UK if we've got Dazn UK with a 9-figure deal? Jay, what do you think?
Well, yeah, especially if crowds come back. That's the main thing, innit? Crowds have got to come back for that.
Yeah.
'Cause in the UK, like we're saying, around the world, you're not going to get good viewing figures in America if we're showing the big fights over here at our prime time. So with the crowds coming back, 100%. But Eddie said the other day that he done that show in America on Matchroom, and he had a lot of prospects, and they had a lot of hard fights. Some of them lost, and he said, some of our British fighters, it's now time that you're going to start fighting some of these guys. And he's going to get on. He said after the Fowler-Cheeseman fight, Fowler or Cheeseman's going to be in these big fights with the international stars. So I think he's going to start throwing them in there. He's got Ammo Williams, I think it is, who wants Fowler. So that could be
what
a
a
good
fight that is. What a fight that is, by the way. I've been calling that fight
Yeah.
for a long time. I don't know whether it's next, but that is a fantastic fight. And that is the fight we could see. And we talked about Queensbury versus Matchroom. Could we see a Matchroom USA versus Matchroom UK card? Kenny, would you like to see that?
100% it's happening. 100% it's happening. That is why Eddie Hearn is doing this deal, so he can get it over the line. He can get over the line, and that's why, you know, in terms of like getting his fighters out to a bigger audience, that's why you got the Conor Benns, you know, the Katie Taylors, the Callum Smiths, and Lawrence Okolie's. It's for these, you know, these roster of fighters with, you know, the Matchroom headquarters in the USA and Matchroom quarters in the UK. That's exactly what these fighters want. And, you know, as much as we call ourselves, you know, boxing fans, and we see that the UK is the mecca of boxing, it's actually the USA that's the mecca of boxing. And that's where the fighters can make the most money. So it's good opportunity for all these fighters to, you know, make a bit of money. I mean, Anthony Joshua, you know, it didn't go well in New York City, but he must have made a shitload of money. Probably more money, arguably, than he would have made. He would have made for the Klitschko fight, because it's in the US. It's a bigger market.
Yeah. No. Obviously, I don't know how much he earned for each of those fights, but I should imagine he would have earned a hell of a lot of money for fighting over in New York. Guys, let us know what you think. What fights would you like to see? But if there was a Matchroom USA versus Matchroom UK show, or potentially a few shows, and make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're there. Road to 18,000 subscribers.
So, we got what we wanted. We've already seen it. We already see Matchroom UK versus Matchroom USA.
Yeah.
We've already seen it with Callum Smith and Canelo. Although, and we're going to be seeing it on the 8th of May.
But I think maybe smaller fights like Ammo Williams versus Anthony Fowler. Jay, do you think there's any fights like that you can think of off the top of your head that you'd like to see?
Yeah, any fights I'd like to see? Mate, not so much with Matchroom. It's obviously like PBC fighters and stuff like that. But I think though, going with the UK versus USA, I think there's going to be a lot more of them, because you'll have Matchroom Mexico versus Matchroom USA. You got like Canelo, a lot of Mexican fighters that he's got there. So I think you'll see a lot more of them sort of crossover shows with Matchroom. But I just really want to see Ennis versus Conor Benn. I just think that's going to be an explosive fight. I just got that on my head. For some reason, I just keep thinking about that fight. I just keep thinking.
No, and it's a fantastic fight, Jay. Yeah. I think what we said about this tournament, because we've both of us agreed, and the people in the comments have agreed about, we'd love to see a Dazn tournament of some kind. And what you're saying about Matchroom USA, Matchroom Mexico, maybe potentially we could have a Matchroom World Cup, even, where a fighter from each country that Matchroom has a banner under could fight in like an 8-man tournament, and see what fighter wins that and what nation ends up coming out victorious. Kenny, is that something you'd like to see?
You're getting greedy now, aren't you? You're getting
greedy. We're in
dreamland
here. We're in dreamland.
You saw the success of what we've seen in terms of like what we had with Callum Smith and George Groves in 2018, and then Carl Froch getting in the final with Andre Ward, about 7 years before that. So let me tell you something now. We want to see the best fight the best. And the only way we're going to see the best fight the best is the competition format. I'm all for that. And, I don't see any reason why, the Sauerland Brothers could have this great idea and no one could mimic it. I don't see a reason why not.
It really frustrates me, that, Ken.
Yeah.
It
It's only them doing it.
I think the fans, like, the fans love, like we say, prize fighter, contender, like knockout tournaments, and I don't know why they try and shy away from it, because the World Super Series, that was fantastic. Like, I like the format of that. I like the Muhammad Ali Trophy. It's a good profile for fighters, and I don't know. I just can't.
It creates stars as well.
Yeah.
Usyk became a massive star because he won the World Cruiserweight World Series.
Bradis as well. Bradis is becoming a star.
Yeah.
Just in the comments here, we've had big.
Bradis versus Collier. Please.
That'd be a fantastic fight. Yeah, but it's just in the comments here, we've had big backlash and big uproar about this Ben Ennis fight that Jay's proposed. Ashley Williams says Ben is a beast. Notorious HC says Ennis would piece Ben up. And we've got more here. HJM Boxing says Ennis schools Ben. Plenty of comments. Keep them coming in. Andrew Baxter says Ben is still learning his trade and progressing every fight. So maybe Ennis isn't that fight that people are calling for. But we all agree on here it's going to be an absolute fantastic fight. Yeah, but going forward, we spoke about Okoli Bradis. That's one you want to see, Kenny. And just out of curiosity, who wins that fight? Who wins that fight at this particular moment?
You know what? Lawrence just hits too hard, and he's managed to work on that jab. And I think if he can use that jab, and like I said, time it with the right hand, and I think he stops it. Brady. So I really think he just hits too hard. But again, there's only one thing I would like more from Lawrence is maybe a few more combinations. You know what I mean? So the thing about it, it's easy for me to say that Lawrence is very predictable, but whether he's predictable or hot, if he hits you, and even if you see it coming, you're going to get hurt. You know what I mean? And I think that's where I can only see a late stoppage, maybe like round 9. But I definitely have Lawrence winning that fight.
Jay, what do you think? Lawrence versus Bradis, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the sauce would be too hot for him. I think that definitely he would definitely. I think he's Okoli. Like, I don't want to disrespect him in any way because I definitely would never want to do that. But he reminds me of like the Deontay Wilder of the cruiserweight division with that right hand.
Oh,
like, he looks like he looks unorthodox. He doesn't look like he doesn't look. I don't know. He's awkward. So then you don't know what's coming, and then he comes with that big right hand, but he's got better boxing skills than Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, I was going to say he's more of a rounded boxer.
Before the comments come in and start going crazy, Lawrence Okoli's a better boxer. What I'm saying is when you watch his fights, he's awkward, and he just reminds me of Wilder because then he just produces that big right hand. But Okoli would definitely win that. I love Okoli. I think he's a great fighter.
Yeah, HJM Boxing says Okoli style is going to be a nightmare for any cruiserweight. With that in mind, do you think he will go on to become undisputed?
Maybe. That depends. Depends if he gets the opportunity, because I think it's all about money now. He's become world champion. If he gets offered a big fight at heavyweight, he may just go up and take that. Like Dillian White or something. Do you know what I mean? They've got a bit of beef before. I can't see why Dillian would take that. But if he's was it the WBO that Lawrence won?
Yeah, the WBO Lawrence won.
So if he wants to go up, he can be mandatory then, can't he?
Yeah,
that is
but
the WBO. You've
already got the backlog because obviously it was meant to be Usyk got in the mandatory because he was WO, I think, and then obviously he could be fighting Joe Joyce in a rematch of the WSB of what we previously spoke about on today's show. So could we see like a couple of years backlog for Lawrence Okoli?
I'd say fight Bradis, fight Bradis, and then maybe give it a year, keep hold of the WBO, and then once Joe Joyce and Usyk's fought, then go up and then maybe challenge either one of them two or whoever the WBO champion is at the time, because you might as well take that opportunity. There's no point fighting 5 or 6 heavyweights. There's no time. Do you know what I mean? He's going to want to get straight up there. So maybe Sanchez. You see that Cuban Sanchez versus Okoli at heavyweight.
Frank Sanchez. I think he's on the undercard of Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, him versus Okoli at heavyweight could be a good fight.
Yeah, brilliant fight. Brilliant fight. And Kenny, what do you think? Coley, could he unify even further as Bradis? I think Dorticosta's got another. Is it Dorty? No, it's not, is it? You got Makaibu, who you beat, and there's another one. Go on, Kenny. What do you think?
I could see him fighting Bradis and then going straight up to heavyweight. Again, he's another fighter. We were talking about Andrade struggling with the weight a bit. Well, I think I just get the feeling when I watch McCauley as well, he struggles a bit with the weight as well. So I think that heavyweight will be the way to go for him after what we think will happen. That he'll beat Bradis, and then afterwards heavyweight, and then he's got a wealth of good opponents up there for him. Providing he beats Bradis. But there's great opportunities for him. But again, one thing he has that Usyk hasn't, he's got power. And that's what you need at heavyweight. You've got to have genuine power. I'm not saying Usyk hasn't got power, but Usyk's skills, he's got the skills. But again, I don't see Usyk knocking out really big man and hurting him. I can see him being outboxed. But the trouble with the heavyweight division is that I think at professional level, when you're a heavyweight, sometimes your skills are not really sort of at the forefront. Like the people talk about Deontay Wilder's, lack of fundamentals. But let's not forget, 40 is that over 40 fights and about 38 of them are knockout. That's serious power. That that negates all these weaknesses. You know what I mean? Like for someone like someone like Mike, his former trainer Mike Breeden talking about he doesn't have fundamentals, blah blah. Well, you've sent out one of your champions into battle where he could get killed without teaching the fundamentals, and but the reason why you've got away with that is because this guy negated all those alleged weaknesses with his right hand. No. Curtis Webb says, Pep Talk UK, you know what fight I want to see? A women's heavyweight matchup. And that's interesting because there isn't no big heavyweight names in the women's division. Jade, do you know why? Is there a reason why there isn't no big names in the heavyweight female division? Or do you just think there hasn't been the right building of a heavyweight name?
I don't know. Like, it's probably harder for women because women's body shapes are a lot more. Like a man's more broader, aren't they? So for a woman to go to a heavyweight, they've probably got to be a lot bigger. So it's probably harder for well, I don't know any women heavyweight, so I don't know if it's hard for a woman to get to heavyweight. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, name me a heavyweight female. It goes up to middleweight, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I can't name one off the top of my head. And
don't ask me because I when you talk about a woman heavyweight. You're talking about, I'm sorry, but I can't imagine a woman heavyweight being able to, like I said, last, 10 2-minute rounds in a ring. You know what I mean? It's always a surprise when I see a woman shot putter, but they're out there. But a big girl like that fight, no way. I think there's levels, and the only level I can think of is probably middleweight Savannah Marshall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't see anyone bigger than that.
No,
and it's difficult to get opponents for her. So
I completely agree. So we'll say
I would like to see it though.
Go on, I would like to see
it though. Definitely, if you can find 2 women heavyweights, let's book them up.
Another thing for DAZN to do. DAZN got a lot of things to do if they're going by our show tonight. One last thing.
Katie Taylor's going for the women's heavyweight title.
Oh, what a call!
No shots. She'll get bodied.
Yeah, no. We got one last thing before we go. And it's been a great live stream tonight, so thanks for everyone for watching. But something that's really stayed with me through our chat is something Jay said about the UFC and their big, huge gym and this whole complex, and how Matchroom could do this potentially with the move. And I was thinking about Rob McCracken being the head of the boxing on the Team GB, and we see the Matchroom gym. I know it's not an actual Matchroom gym, is Tony Sims. So maybe if there was a big, that Eddie Hearn got this big complex and made Tony Sims the head of Matchroom development, and we got loads of other trainers to help him, because there's a lot of upcoming trainers, and we see this huge stable. What do you think, Jane Kenny? Just to finish us up here, do you think that could potentially work?
I think that's what they need to do to go forward. I think build a performance centre with a hotel, and also an arena. I heard Eddie said he wants a Matchroom arena. So if there's any situations like COVID, you've got an arena there non-stop. You can have a TV production there all the time. And I think with a hotel, you've got a bubble there, haven't you? So I think that's the way that he should go, 100%. I think it would help British boxing. You can have Tony Sims in charge, like you said. I think it'd be good for the amateurs, having a performance centre where you can go there with all the professionals. You can see what the game's going to be like, and I think it would help a lot of amateurs, definitely. And that's the main aim, is to help the amateurs, because that's the future of boxing.
Kenny, what do you think? I know Curtis Webb said they should try and buy York Hall and call it the Matchroom Arena. That'd be absolutely fantastic, certainly for a next-gen point of view. Kenny, what do you think about this? How can Matchroom get an arena, performance centre? Do you think that's the way forward?
I think it is the way forward, but then again, you've got to remember, Matchroom's just not about boxing. Like the Matchroom, remember, remember they've always had a long-term commitment to snooker. And you don't see really snooker ventures as well. Remember, they got into darts. So I think in terms of like the boxing, there is going to be a massive, massive commitment. But they can always argue that, well, hang on here, do we really need to do that? Because remember, we got Team GB in Sheffield. We also got, Dave Caldwell in Rotherham, Sheffield sides. And you've got the Manchester gyms. You've got Rotonda, Liverpool. Yeah. You may want to sort of keep it like, organic and authentic, and just leave it as it is. And because I think you've got a situation now, some fighters change trainers like they're changing a pair of trainers. So you know what I mean. So I think what's happened is that it's a great situation, but if you just have a Matchroom centre of excellence and blah blah, does that kind of put other like trainers out of business, or do you? Because that local feel, like the up and coming fighter.
Well, no, because you don't have to have. You can still have your own trainers, but you go to Matchroom, provide the physios, the doctors. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely,
You go there as a part of your team. Do you know what I mean? That's what they do in the UFC. They have their own trainers, but they'll go there for a week and they do all their medicals.
It's something that can be done, but I think in terms of matching, it's a good idea. But I just think that because of rank, Dana White is exclusively, obviously he's probably got other ventures as well, but UFC is like his baby. Plus he's like I said, he's got UFC is just one TV station, so he's got the whole thing. So I think in terms of Matchroom, you know what, you can never say never, because as you said before, every sport has to involve, and if it's now business, and Eddie Hearn's made himself a business by going with Dazn and doing a business proposal for 9 figures, then maybe if he's really committed to the sport, I agree, there's nothing to stop him from getting a Matchroom centre records and say, right, that's my commitment to boxing. So why not?
Yeah, because I think he'd do one in America as well. Because I think he needs a base. Do you know what I mean? He needs somewhere where, like, when he goes to America, there's his place. So I think there'd be a Matchroom USA performance centre and a UK one.
It'd be interesting because
he has put on record that he does want to do this. It's not like I've just plucked it out saying this. No. He said it in a couple of interviews that he does want a performance centre. He does want his own arena. He does want. So this is the money from Dazn. That's what's going to help. Do you know what I mean? Before, they haven't had the money. They've had to focus on darts or focus on snooker. Now the boxing brings in more money than probably most of them at the moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think it makes sense because Frank Warren's already gone down that centre where he's not such within. He's not so much as Frank Warren's kind of got the centre of excellence. But before Frank Warren got shot, he was
London Stadium.
You remember you had the London Arena around the Docklands of the East End, around the East End docks. And he was actually, building that up, and he was going to make it into his arena. Then he got shot, and then blah blah. People ran away from him. So it is something. Maybe he could do something that Frank Warren hasn't done. It can be done.
Yeah, no,
and he's got Summits land as well.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what it says. Matchroom Square Gardens will be an annual event. I certainly
he
hope
said
it is
this
because
year.
I live about 10
Yeah,
minutes away. So that
he
that
said
would
this
be
year he's going to have fans there.
yeah. No, it'd be absolutely fantastic. Adam Oliver says, knowing Eddie would probably try and buy a Wembley Stadium. That'd be a hell of a feat if he managed to do that. I highly doubt
Many
it.
people try to do it. You know, you remember the Fulham chairman tried to buy Wembley, didn't he?
Yeah. Back a few years ago now, wasn't it? Yeah, and
And
then,
Wembley is up for sale. The FA would love to get that Wembley off their hands.
yeah, definitely. Right, guys. Thank you, Shazad, Chowdy. Show the Pep Talk boys some love. Thank you very much, Shaz. I'll certainly show you some love. That was fantastic interviews as ever. And thanks for a great chat today, boys. It's been brilliant.
Anytime.
It was a bit last minute. It was chucked together, but we done it. We smashed it. And thank you to everyone who's watched and comment, got it involved in the chat as ever. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And Kenny, where can we find you?
At KennyKen1972 on both Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me. You know, well, you won't be able to find me, but you can just imagine me, you know, rubbing my hands together on Saturday, watching the whole BT Sport card, waiting for the main event,
Yes.
and praying that Felix Cash or Denzel Bentley, whatever way you want to put that round, don't let me down, guys. Don't let me down now.
Oh, I
Don't let me
certainly
down.
think it will.
Don't let me down.
Oh, I can't wait for it. It's one of those fights where it's just. We spoke about it briefly on Monday, but it could really be a domestic classic, in my opinion. The styles make
Look
fights.
at Joyce and Dubois. We didn't like the ending, but it was a story, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Definitely. Daniel Dubois, the golden child, Joe Joyce, the ugly duckling, who no one rated, but was a tough son of a bitch, and he got his fundamentals right, and that was a great fight.
Yeah, no. Jay, where can we find you?
Yeah, just starting off Kenny Ken. I was getting a bit worried when you said, imagine you rubbing. And I thought, where's he going with this?
Yeah.
Please stop. Please stop.
Yeah,
please stop.
Please stop. Thought I might have to cover my ears then.
Yeah, I thought, oh no, gonna have to close this. Yeah, but no, no, you can find me at JAlby1989 on Instagram and on air. So
yeah, no, it's always a
keep
pleasure.
subscribing and sending them likes in.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Thanks very much for joining me. As I say, late notice, big news. Eddie Hearn, 9-figure deal with Dazn. Thank you very much. I'll see you, Pep Talk UK, when I see you soon. See you later.
See you later, lads.